Hello everybody, this is Mr. Moore again. Hope that you're doing well. Welcome to session number 5 in our Promotional Strategies course entitled Perfecting the Strategy. Perfecting the Strategy. We've talked about a lot of things so far. Now we want to move on and talk about actually how we're going to get down to running this ad and promotional campaign. So let's get started. Let's take a moment to review the course so far as we lead into our 5th session. In our first session, we talked about the importance of value creation, and we said that value creation was really what businesses were all about. And then we moved on and talked about problem recognition, that we try to recognize the problems that our customers are having so that we can solve them, and that's where we bring forth our value. That's how we can determine what value we should bring forth. Thirdly, we talked about identifying target customers. We said, okay, based on the value that we want to bring, what are the specific types of customers that are going to want that value? We tried to describe an ideal customer. And then in our last session, we talked briefly about some big picture points about budgets and planning, how we need to spend time planning and invest in planning. We also need to set aside money to be able to develop that plan and also execute it out to that target audience. The question we want to begin with in this session is, what is a promotional strategy? Now that we're getting down to the point of executing a strategy, developing a strategy, what is a promotional strategy? Well, let's turn back to the textbook, George and Michael Belch, Advertising and Promotion, and let's see what they say about a promotional strategy. In their book, they note, most ads are a part of a series of messages that make up an advertising campaign, which is a set of coordinated marketing activities that center on a single theme. So this is really what we're trying to develop here. Let's look at some key words and phrases in this description of a strategy, an ad strategy, promotional strategy. First of all, it's a series of messages. We're not just trying to develop one single message, but a series of messages that we'll put out. We're going to call this a campaign, therefore, not just a single ad, but we think of it as a campaign. And that is a set of coordinated marketing activities on a single theme. So as we develop strategies, we think about strategy, this is really what we're starting to recognize as our end game here, is to develop a series of messages that we call a campaign, to coordinate some ads and some activities in marketing with a single theme throughout those ads and throughout that strategy. So the question is, how do we do this? How do we develop this campaign? What will help us develop this overall strategy? So I want to give you a 4-step promotional strategy process. 4-step promotional strategy process. Let me outline it, and then we'll go into the details on each component. The first is the theme. We want to develop a theme for our campaign. The second step is to develop the slogan for the campaign. The third is to develop what we call the major selling idea. And then the fourth step is to determine which instruments we're going to use as we promote this message that we've determined. So let's look at each of these individually. First of all, the theme. Belch and Belch go on to say this about a theme. They say a campaign theme should be a strong idea, as it is the central message that will be communicated in all promotional activities. So a theme is the strong idea. Again, we'll look at some key terms and phrases here that represents the central message that we are trying to get across. What are we trying to get across to our customers? That strong central idea that we want to be our message. That is the theme. Let's look at some examples. And of course, this theme will come up in all our promotional activities, all the instruments that we use. Let's look at some examples briefly. Here is an old picture of a Wheaties box or a Wheaties ad. Wheaties is a cereal, if you didn't know that. And notice it says here, Breakfast of Champions. Breakfast of Champions. And then we have BMW with its theme of the ultimate driving machine. 2 different ads from 2 different companies and 2 different industries. So let's ask ourselves, as we look at these, what are the themes that are coming forward just from these simple images? Well, Wheaties, the theme is champions eat this, isn't it? Champions eat this. That's the theme that they're building here. And then for BMW, the theme is no car is more satisfying to drive. That's essentially the theme, isn't it? So if you look at the ads from these two companies during these times when they were running these campaigns, everything centers around these ideas. Champions eat this, so they'll have athletes who are champions eating it and promoting it. And then BMW will have this whole idea of this is the most satisfying car to drive, and everything they promote will sort of work off of that, whether it's the engine or the interior or the speed or the technology. All of that will flow around that theme. So that's what we need to start with. We've got to develop our theme. And then we're going to take that theme, and step 2, we're going to summarize it in a slogan. Summarize it in a slogan. Back to the textbook. Belch and Belch say the theme is expressed through a slogan that reduces the key idea to a few words. The slogan should summarize the company or brand position as well as the message it is trying to deliver. So let's look here. A slogan is what we're looking to do. Express the theme through a slogan. Well, what is a slogan? The slogan is when we take that theme and we make it a few key words. We just distill it down to a few key words. And then it should summarize the company or brand position. Let's pause here and just talk about positioning again. Positioning, you remember we talked about when we're trying to develop and promote our value, that we always think about value in terms of our competition. What are they offering? What are they trying to do? What are they trying to position themselves in the market? Well, when we're positioning, we're trying to find a hole in the market that we can put our company into and in the mind of the consumer. So if we want to be thought of as high end, we want to position ourselves there, and maybe our competition is maybe middle end or low end. If we want to be thought of as low cost, maybe the other competitors are a little bit higher cost. So it's all about positioning our product in the customer's mind, and advertising campaigns are how we do that. So the slogan is key to doing this. And then the message is key. Slogan also we want to put in a little bit of the message. We can't get it all, but we want to get some of it in there. So again, let's look at some examples. Here are two. Nike's Just Do It slogan. You're probably familiar with that. And then you're probably familiar with the MasterCard Priceless campaign and its commercials that center around this slogan of priceless. If you don't remember the MasterCard commercials, everybody knows Just Do It for Nike. I believe they were a series, it was a campaign that tried to show how using the MasterCard to pay for certain things allowed you to do things that were priceless in your life, whether it's lunch with a friend or taking a trip or whatever. That it's not just spending money, it's creating these memories that are actually priceless. That was the way they were approaching that. So let's ask ourselves about the position here for Nike. Just do it. What is that saying? How is that trying to position the company in the mind of the customer? Isn't it saying that we empower you to live your dreams? Just do it. Just do it. Go on and do it. Don't wait any longer. Go do it. You see that? And then the message is buy our products and go for it. If you buy our products, you can do what you want to do. You can follow those dreams. So Nike wants you to think of them as the dream maker. Not just a shoe, not comfort, not style, but the dream maker. Position them away from their competitors. And then the priceless advertising campaign, the priceless slogan by MasterCard. What position is that? Well, they're trying to position themselves as that they make it possible to live great moments. Isn't that what they're doing? So when you use our card, you've got all the money you need, you swipe it, and you can live those great moments. And that message is, use our card to make those moments happen. You see, that's the message underlying these slogans. So we need to go to the theme, then we need to develop a slogan for that theme, and then we want to communicate all this through what we call a major selling idea. A major selling idea. Let's look at that. A major selling idea is a statement of the core benefit you are offering your customer. If you had to condense your value into a single, catchy, memorable few words, what would they be? This is your major selling idea. Now, sometimes there is an overlap between theme, slogan, and major selling idea. These things kind of run together a little bit, but there are some subtle differences that you can see, and when we look at our auto shop, Barry's Auto Shop, later here in this session, we'll hopefully show you that. Let's look at some words again. Core benefit. This major selling idea is the core benefit. What benefit are you getting from this product if you purchase it, or this service? And then a single catchy, memorable few words. Again, let's go to some examples. What about Old Spice? Old Spice had a campaign, I'm not sure if they're still running it, where they were trying to, as the phrase here goes, smell like a man. They were trying to present their product as the man's scent, the man's cologne. And what is the major selling idea there? Our product makes a man smell good like a man should. So if you want the benefit of smelling like a man and women recognizing that you're a man from your smell, then you should buy Old Spice. And Dove had a very popular campaign called Real Beauty. And essentially what they were doing here was saying, look, if you use our products, they're going to bring out the real beauty in you. So the major selling idea here is our product brings out the beauty every woman already has. So they have pictures of all kinds of women, tall and short, and different hairstyles and different looks. Basically what they're saying is, if you use our products, you're going to be beautiful. Whether other people think you're beautiful or not, we're going to bring out the inner beauty and natural beauty that you already have. So you can see that those selling ideas coming out of there. And then the fourth step here, after we have these things, we need to choose the instruments that we're going to use to communicate all of these ideas, all of this messaging. And so we talked about some of the instruments in another session. We talked about personal selling, print media, billboards, TV and radio, and then online advertising as some of the integrated marketing communications instruments. So what I want to do here is just briefly review when you would use these and some potential drawbacks. And then we're going to transition and talk about Barry's Auto Shop and see how all of this applies to him. Personal selling, when to use. You want to use personal selling when you need one-on-one attention to close a deal, to get an order. A good example might be insurance or business-to-business sales. Those are typically where you need a sales force to communicate that value. The drawback is, of course, it's expensive to hire people and you'll have limited reach. You know, if you have one salesperson, that salesperson can only talk to so many people. So expensive and limited reach, but sometimes it's the best way and really the only way to do it. Print media, like magazines and that kind of thing. When do you use those? You use those when customers that you're looking to target are likely to read those magazines or read whatever print media that you're using, and you can even include direct mail in this. But you want to use it when you've got the type of customers that are going to look at print type media, and where the ad is conducive to an image, where we can take our message and put it into something that's one page visual that gets everything across. The drawbacks are they can be expensive and it's difficult to measure the success. That comes up with a lot of these instruments. You could use billboards. Billboards, they're good when you have a general audience focus. In other words, you're trying to reach a lot of different people. You're not really very narrowly focused. And when you can communicate the message very quickly. One of the things you always want to do in a billboard is just have a very simple message that within a few seconds someone can get. Again, it can be expensive and it's difficult to measure the success of billboards as well. We've got TV and radio. This is when you want a wide audience. You're trying to reach a wide swath of the market. And when you need a repetitive message, you know, when you run ads on TV or radio, they run, 10 times a day, 20 times a day, in different shows and different time slots and so on. So if that's the audience that you need to reach and you feel like that's going to be effective, then you can use TV and radio. Again, can be expensive depending on what you're doing, and is again difficult to measure the success. And finally, we got online. Online is when you want to target. That's the beauty of online advertising, is you can really target. You can keep your costs down because you're usually only paying for when somebody clicks. So you know you've got someone interested when they click on your ad. And then when your buyers use online forms of communication, if they're not on their phones or on their laptops or iPads, then you don't want to use online. So the drawbacks then would be that not all buyers use them, especially older consumers. Many older consumers don't have all the gadgets and don't know how to use them. But if your market needs these, then these are great to choose. So let's talk about Barry real quick here. What would Barry do with his business where all of this is concerned? How would he execute these strategy elements? Let's look at this briefly. Remember that Barry, in our last session, or the session before, I forget now, we talked about him choosing to offer repair services for European cars as sort of his value in an underserved geography. So the idea is that Barry's realized that nobody's working on European cars within a certain number of miles, and he's really got an opportunity there to take advantage of that. So here's what Barry's going to do. Barry's going to change his company name, and he's going to call it Premium Euro. Premium Euro. That's going to be the new name of his company. His slogan is going to be specialty service for specialty automobiles. And then his major selling idea is experience high end. So you can see how all of these are designed to position him in the higher end of the market because he's working on these European cars. He's looking for wealthy people who want great service. They want the premium. They want the special treatment, and that are going to be in this geography. So that's kind of where he would settle on these particular items. And then in terms of instruments, if you look at the ones that we just talked about, he's going to consider a combination of billboard, TV, radio, and online advertising to try and reach his target market. So that's how all of that would apply to him. And now we need to move on in our next session and talk about just what it is about a small business and advertising and promotion that's real. You know, when we read these textbooks, it just sounds like everybody's got millions of dollars and you can do 14, 15 different types of campaigns, and there's so much you can do. But there are some real limits with small businesses that we need to talk about when it comes to executing these campaigns. So that'll be what we do in our next session, called Straight Talk about Small Business Marketing. So I hope you've enjoyed the session, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.